What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Charles Wells, aka C Wells, your SWAC tour guide. As we continue to take our tour around the SWAC with our 12-team season previews. Today, we talk about the G-men of Grambling State, the Grambling State Tigers. Grambling didn't have the best of seasons. Obviously, I guess you could say that. Yeah, I guess you could say I'm putting that lightly. 0-4 in the spring, a lot of turmoil. Two offensive coordinators left, quarterback into the portal during the season. Couple blowout losses, couple close losses, that games that could have went the other way, which could have made the season look a lot better, but obviously that didn't happen. A big delay in the season due to the virus. But they're back and they are being picked to finish third in the division by at SWAC Media Day. I don't agree with finishing third, but I do feel the gap between 5 and 3 is not that huge. So, a couple of things here and there could probably shake out and change some things for them. We're going to talk about their schedule in a few minutes. We're going to do a little schedule rundown. Before we do all of that, as you can see, all the socials are down below on the screen. So check those out. If you want to support the show, you can hit the Cash App, $/SWACtalk, $SWACtalk. Check out the podcast, anchor.fm/SWACtalk. Can be heard on Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all of that. You can check that out. We got a Grambling State preview up today on there. Wednesday, we'll be talking about Jackson State. Also on podcast and YouTube. Thursday, another edition of SWAC Smoke with my boy DJ. That's been a lot of fun, a little bit of a different vibe, a different flavor. We're going to continue to do that. So you can also check that out on the YouTube channel. We're up with over 230 subscribers. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you go ahead and subscribe. If you have subscribed, then thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Hit the notification bell so you can be alerted to any content that I upload, and like and comment, so do all the usuals. Let's get into Grambling, man. Like I said, they had a tumultuous spring. Didn't look good in their last 2 games. Had a chance to win their first 2 games. Lost those games by combined 12 points. Quarterback Jeremy Hickbottom entered the transfer portal, and ironically, he transferred to Bethune. Well, first he committed to Bethune-Cookman, and then he ended up going to Tennessee State. So either way it goes, he transferred to a team that's playing Grambling this year. 2 offensive coordinators left. Mark Orlando and Kendrick Nord were both the offensive coordinators back-to-back weeks stepped down. They brought in Eric Marty, who was a junior college coach in California, real successful out there. So he's going to be brought in to run the offense. They also brought in a new offensive line coach, Bryant Ross. He played at Alabama A&M, and he's the new offensive line coach. They brought in a new defensive back coach, Eric Rhodes. He coached on the Grambling team in 2016 that made the Celebration Bowl and won that game. So there's another new coach on the team. The team just was not very good in the spring. They allowed 36 points a game on defense, over 450 yards on defense allowed. Offensively, not on the very opposite, 16.5 points per game. They had about 320 yards per game on offense. Turnover margin was even 6-6. Grambling had 4 sacks as a defense. You're not going to win very many games if you can't get any sacks, and allow, I think, 14 sacks. So just not good numbers. Defense allowed over 56% completion on third downs. That's a killer. More than turnovers or sacks. If you allow your opponent to complete almost 60% on third downs, you're not going to win very many games because you're not going to get off the field. You're extending drives for people, whether it's due to penalties or just bad play on defense. That just can't happen, and that's something that's going to have to definitely be cleaned up. Elijah Walker is the main quarterback coming into the fall. He came in the middle of the spring. I thought he handled himself fairly well for a guy that didn't have any experience really. He's gonna. I think a lot of people are really high on Noah Biden. He was a 4-star quarterback for New York. I don't know if he's gonna be able to come in right away and push for the job, but that's a name that I would keep my eyes out for, maybe mid-season if he grows. I'm not quite sure you want to throw a freshman out there right now, but this is the 2020s, and freshmen start day one at a lot of schools, and guys are more prepared coming out of high school than they used to be. A lot of people would never play freshmen at quarterbacks, but if a young guy is your best guy, then you go with him. That says a lot about the guys who are already there. But if the dude comes in with talent and he's ready to play, then obviously you go with the guy that's going to give you the best shot. Because Grambling doesn't have an easy schedule at all. Also, Darryl Clark is their top receiver. He had 17 catches and 1 touchdown. C.J. Russell at running back, Keelan Elder also 2 guys to keep an eye out on. Dan Fields is a safety grad student, really good guy on defense. They lost Lindamian Brooks. He transferred to Prairie View. He was a running back / receiver type of guy. He transferred to Prairie View. Traylon Dunn and Lewis Matthews are both really good linebackers that they have. Keenan Fontenot is also a guy in the secondary to keep an eye out on. Fontenot was the only Grambling guy on the preseason All-SWAC. He made second team. So obviously, if you look at individual pieces, the cupboard seems bare, but Grambling has talent. And, you can't really let that 0-4 season just really prove what they were. I think they're going to be a lot better than what they were, but I just don't like sitting here right now on August 1st, which is 27 days away from the start of the season, I might add, with the MEAC SWAC Challenge August 28th. So, with about a month away from the start of the season, it's hard to really say that how good Grambling would be. I don't think they're going to have a very, I don't think they're going to set the world on fire right now, but that doesn't mean that this team can't improve. You have to remember in 2019 and 2018, they got off to like 0-4 starts both years and ended up, at 6-5 or at least close to it. So they could start slow because I think that it's going to take some time for this team to kind of get that confidence back. They could start slow, but they could end okay. I don't really foresee them having a great season, but this is to me, with the schedule that they have, this is the kind of season that the record may not indicate how good they are as a team. I mean, obviously the saying is you are what your record says you are, but that's not always the case. Sometimes teams don't have a winning record, but are better because they played a tougher slate. Sometimes teams have a good record and are not as good as they seem because they don't play as tough of a slate. So they open up that season on September 5th in a game that's not getting any talk. Man, nobody's talking about this game. Tennessee State, led by Eddie George, is taking on historical Grambling State in Canton, Ohio at the Black College Hall of Fame game. It's the same day as the Orange Blossom Classic, so I know that's why a lot of people are not really talking about it. But, Grambling is coming off of a bad season. Obviously, Tennessee State wasn't good, but Eddie George is a big-name guy, but he doesn't have that huge personality like Jackson State has at that coaching position. So I think a lot of people aren't really paying attention to what they're doing at Tennessee State. But this is a game that's important for both teams. I think it's very important for Grambling. I think it's a game that they need to win because they don't have a lot of opportunities as you go down the schedule to just pinpoint W's. I think Grambling can win this game because I think Grambling, I value continuity over anything. I mean, obviously talent can carry a team a long way, and a team can, pardon the phrase, out-athlete somebody. Sometimes, you can out-athlete somebody regardless of what your coaching staff looks like. But I don't think Tennessee State is in that position to out-athlete anybody yet. So I go with continuity. Obviously, Grambling has a new offense coordinator, so that's some things. But having your same head coach and other guys on the staff can kind of lend a calming influence in a game like this. I think Grambling's hungry to get a W because obviously not winning in the spring, it sticks to you. So I think Grambling can win this game, and I think they will. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game by any means. I'm thinking, like a mid-20s type score, probably a few turnovers by both teams, just not a very sharp game, but I think Grambling will survive it. September 11th, they go to Southern Miss to take on the Eagles of Southern Mississippi. Tough game for Grambling coming off of that Tennessee State game. Hopefully they can come out and make a decent performance. I don't think they're gonna have too much success in that game. September 18th, they go to Houston to take on the Cougars of Houston. Again, another FBS opponent, G5 AAC opponent. Houston's always a tough opponent, especially when they play SWAC teams. They typically like to pour it on. So I think Grambling's going to have a tough time in that one. Not much going to be said about that game. September 25th in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas, they face Prairie View in the State Fair Classic. Prairie View's won, I think, the last 3 matchups in this game, in this series, so they have some success coming in. Prairie View seems to be more established on defense, although they did have 2 huge losses on defense, but they still have some really good pieces on defense. Offensively, we don't know where they're at yet, so that's their question mark. Grambling's question mark, obviously, right now is line play on both sides. I think Grambling, I think this game is going to be close, but I'm gonna pick Prairie View to extend their streak. I think it's going to be a game similar to like last year and I think 2019, I believe it was. Games where the score was fairly close, low scoring, defensive type of games. I don't really see this game being a high scoring type of game. So I would say Prairie View would win. No, it was 2018. It was a 22-16 game. 2019 was a high-scoring game, 42-36. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it'll be more of that, mid-20s, high teens type of game. So I think Prairie View will win that game. October 2nd, Grambling opens their home season against Alabama A&M. That's a very tough game to play in your first game at home, coming off of 4 games away from home. I don't think Grambling has enough to match up with Alabama A&M right now, especially their defense. I don't think is going to be able to slow down the Bulldogs. And I just don't think Grambling offensively is able to get into a shootout right now. So I'm going with A&M to win this game. Grambling has had success against Alabama A&M the last few years. Defensively, they've been able to turn them over a good bit. I just don't see Grambling's defense right now being that turnover machine. So if they can do that, then they give themselves a better chance. That's the only way they're going to win this game is turnovers and field position, trying to control the clock and slowing A&M down a little bit. I just don't see them being able to do that right now. October 9th, they go to Alcorn. Grambling has had success against Alcorn, but not this year. Alcorn obviously moves over to the West, so this is a division matchup. But I think right now, Alcorn is in a better position than Grambling. Grambling is too many questions at this point. I think they can come out and play well against Alcorn, but I think Alcorn will pick up the W. October 16th, they host Texas Southern for homecoming. Texas Southern, I think, will win a SWAC game this year. This is a possible one, but I don't think they'll win this one. I think Grambling will win this. This matchup has been closer than it should have been the last few years. But I think Grambling will find a way to win this game. Should be a crazy game, one of those weird SWAC games that you get sometimes. But I think Grambling will win that game, picking up their first SWAC win. October 30th, after a week off, they go to Tallahassee to take on Florida A&M. Tough place to play at Bragg Stadium. Grambling, I think they'll be better, but I don't think they'll be good enough to win this game right now. I think they can put themselves in a better position than it seems on paper right now, but I think Florida A&M will win that game. November 6th, they go to Pine Bluff. This is one of those games I think that's going to be the difference of where they finish in the division. The media, at media day, they picked Pine Bluff to finish 5th in the conference. Division. I picked Grambling to finish 5th. So they see something in Grambling that I don't see yet, and I guess I see something in Pine Bluff that they don't see. So this is one of those matchups that who knows. For them to finish for them to finish where the media picks Grambling to finish, they have to win this game. For Pine Bluff to finish well, I want them to finish. They have to win this game. I think Grambling can win this game, but you got to, in the spring, Pine Bluff blew them out. Grambling had a pick six early. They put them behind an 8-ball, and Pine Bluff poured it on. So if Grambling can stay in this game early, they can give themselves a chance to win. Right now, I'm going to go with Pine Bluff simply for the fact that I need to make my predictions turn out the way that I want them to right now. In season, obviously we'll have a whole lot more information to make a better pick, but right now I'm going to go with Pine Bluff because I just think they're better than Grambling right now on paper on August 1st on paper right now. I think they're better, but as the season goes on, who knows what can change. November 13th, Grambling closes out their home slate against Bethune-Cookman. Again, Bethune-Cookman was finished. I get those words twisted around. Was finished to pick 5th in the East by the media. I picked them 4th. That's not that big of a difference, but obviously, again, somebody sees something that somebody else doesn't. I think Grambling has a good opportunity to win this game at home. I think by this season they'll be playing better ball, but their record may not indicate that. But I do think they can win this game. Obviously they can lose it as well. I don't think we'll talk about that in a minute, but I'm gonna go with Grambling in this one. I think that they'll find a way to win this game. They need a little bit of positive momentum heading into their bye week before they head to New Orleans for the Bayou Classic. I think I'm just gonna put it out there right away. I think Southern is gonna win, but I think it's gonna be close. It's not gonna be that 49-7 game like they had. This probably be a more typical Bayou Classic type of game. It may be close in the third quarter. Maybe Southern pulls away in the fourth quarter. But I think Grambling will be able to make enough plays and keep themselves in the game and give themselves opportunity to play for the game in the fourth quarter. But I think Southern will find a way to win and close out Grambling's season. I'm looking at Grambling finishing 3-8, and I mean that's not good, but that's obviously better than 0-4. I can be talked into 4-7 if you flip one of those games that I thought was a toss up. My best case scenario for Grambling right now would be 5-6. I think anything more than that is going to take some really better play on the field. And I mean, it's hard to do that on paper. So in reality, they can easily, I'm not going to say easily, but in reality, they could finish, with a winning record. But right now on paper, it's hard for me to say that. So I'm going to say the ceiling is 5-6. The floor, worst case scenario, I'm going to say it's 2-9. I don't think they'll win less than 2 games this year. I think if they win 1 game, I definitely don't think they will go winless. But if they win 1 game, then I think something, is not right. 3 games, when you look at the 3-8 record, you're like, man, that's not that good. But the schedule doesn't shape up for them this year, especially early. That Tennessee State game is a total wild card because we don't know anything about them right now. 2 FBS games, and then Prairie View, who's a team that's beat you 3 out of the last 3 years. That's a game that's not easy. And then you have 2 teams that are picked to win at their respective divisions. Alcorn and Alabama A&M, and only one of those 6 games is at home. So, and that's probably your toughest opponent at home. But there's not a lot of wiggle room. There's not a lot of room for error at all. Obviously, those 2 FBS games back to back push you at a big disadvantage, making that Tennessee State game very important. If you lose that game, then you're looking at an 0-3 start before you even get into SWAC play. And playing Prairie View early like they do, that can, if you don't beat Tennessee State and you lose to Prairie View, you're looking at 0-4. And honestly, you're looking at like an 0-6 start, because if you lose those first 4 games, you're probably not going to beat either of Alabama A&M or Alcorn. Although, as I like to say all the time, any given Saturday. But that Tennessee State game is very vital to the impact on this season. So, with there's a few games that I think they can win, but they can easily lose those games, and everything else to me is a loss first before I can even be talked into a W. So, not an easy slate, especially early. That non-conference slate is just not really conducive for this team. I don't think that's a good. I'm not a fan of 2 FBS games at all. That's just something I just don't agree with. So they're not looking at a great season. So 3-8 right now is my prediction. 5-6 would be a great season for them, honestly, because I think that means they beat a couple teams they probably shouldn't have. So with that being said, I'm gonna sign out here. Don't forget, SWACtalk will be back on Wednesday with our Jackson State preview, YouTube and podcast. Thursday, another edition of SWAC Smoke with my homie DJ. We're gonna be coming at y'all again with another fun show. And then Sunday, we'll be talking about the Delta Devils of Mississippi Valley. So there's a lot going on. We're inching closer to the season, like I said, 27 days before the start of the season in the MEAC SWAC Challenge, Alcorn, North Carolina Central. So we almost there, man. We almost at the finish line of the preseason, and camps are opening this week. Alcorn started practice last week because they playing a week 0 game, so they get to open up camp early. So we have football, so it's football season right now, and let's get to it, man. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. We out of here.